Good day. Welcome to another edition of Spotlight on Mahopac Schools. I'm Eric Rooster, host, along with Superintendent of Schools, Anthony DiCarlo. Anthony, good seeing you again, sir.
Same here, Eric. Nice to see you.
And we're here today to talk about driver's education. Things have changed just a bit in the wake of the pandemic. Anthony, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Eric, like everything else we've been discussing, there's changes, there's things that are adapting and things that are fluid. And one of the things, of course, that happened back last spring is one of the areas that got impacted was our driver's education program, as you can imagine. You know, one of the things that I think makes Mahopac High School unique, and these gentlemen today, Mr. Kerr, Mr. Duma, and Mr. Evers, is a rich history of driver's education in the Mahopac Central School District. And we're going to talk today a little bit about what those changes are based on guidance, like we've talked about, Eric, in so many other different venues with guidance on what that looks like. And like I said, Mr. Evers, Mr. Duma, Mr. Kerr will give you a little bit of an overview of what it's going to look like as we move forward, what some of those new requirements are. And we want to just get it out to students, but most importantly, the parents, to understand that we're going to still offer it here at Mahopac High School. It's going to look a little bit different. They're going to give you kind of an overview and then tell you where you can go, to fill out the specific paperwork. So I'm excited to have these three gentlemen on. Not only are they great individuals in what they do with driver's ed, but they're top-notch teachers, and many of whom we are very, very proud of here at Mahopac. And they go above and beyond the classroom in giving back to our students. So I'll turn it back over to you, Eric.
Well, thank you, Kevin Kerr, Mike Duma, and Mike Evers. Welcome to the program. Who wants to start for us this afternoon?
I can start. Thank you, Mr. DiCarlo. Nice to see you, Eric. What I'd like to do, give you a little history of the program here. Many of the other local school districts are outsourcing their driver's ed program. They have other schools that come in, or they have other programs that come in where they don't have their own teachers. They're not with their friends. You might be in a car with 3 or 4 other people from other school districts, and you're going to have an instructor that is certified, but you may not know that instructor. You may not feel comfortable. And students, when they first start driving, day one, as you can imagine, is very, very anxiety ridden. You have students that are worried. How fast do I go? Where's the brake? How do we turn? So to step into a car with your friends that you are allowed to establish, we allow them to establish their cars with their friends, and to have teachers that you know and that you're familiar with, high school teachers, middle school teachers, kind of relieves that anxiety day one. And we think that's a very important part because once we get them to feel comfortable in the car, after a few weeks, they pick up quickly and they become pretty good drivers in a very short period of time. So our program here has been around for about 15 years in Mahopac. And as Mr. DiCarlo had alluded to, the great thing is that it is in-house. It's run by our school district, it's run by our teachers, and our students are the ones that are able to choose their cars. And the way the program works is there are 6 hours behind the wheel where a student is mandated they're required to drive. And that is broken into 12 sessions, and we try to keep the sessions to about 30 minutes apiece and rotate. There's also an additional component where the students have to be in the classroom. We call it the lecture component, where for 18 hours they're getting their lecture. Lectures are comprised of DWI, distracted driving, insurance. We'll bring in guest speakers. We've had police officers. We've had insurance agents come in. It's really, really a great program. And I know for the other instructors, we look forward to those lectures because we're really able to get through to our students, especially with the distracted driving, texting, which is a huge, huge issue for young drivers now. We try to really open their eyes and make them aware of the dangers, behind the wheel. And we've been pretty successful in terms of getting feedback. We always open it up to feedback at the end of our sessions, and our students, in terms of the feedback, have always been very, very appreciative of the work that we're trying to do in the classroom to make them aware of some of the dangers here. So we've received, unfortunately, based off of what happened in the spring, we were not allowed to finish our sessions, and we were almost done, but we were not allowed to finish our sessions. We were not allowed to start sessions over the summer. So students were kind of left in the dark. We have students that have their permits, they're ready to go, they're excited to take driver education, but according to the state education department, they had shut it down. So there's been some updated guidance here from the New York State Education Department as well as the Department of Motor Vehicle. And that guidance is now going to allow our students to take driver education again, which is great news. There are some changes. Teachers are now allowed to use, for us, it will be Google Classroom, but you're allowed to teach your students remotely. So the entire lecture will be the same. It's just we will not have our students in-house. We will provide everything that we always have, the videos, the resources, the guest speakers, everything that we have had, it will just be delivered remotely, okay? Now the parents will be required to provide the 6 hours of in-the-car training to their child. I think this is great because the parent now, of course, the student will feel comfortable with their parent. The parent knows that child, and they'll be able to go around town on their own schedule and be able to drive those 6 hours on their own schedule. We're going to provide our lectures after school for about an hour and a half. We'll provide approximately 16 lectures, and we'll fulfill the requirement from the state. So once again, great news in that the program is now going to be available to our students. We think we can now provide this to maybe double or triple the amount of students because the cost will be less. And in addition to that, the student will be able to drive on their own time with their parent and still be able to get the lecture virtually through their district-issued Chromebook. So we're looking forward. We're excited. We're ready to start the program. Our instructors have redesigned the curriculum. And I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Duma, who's going to show you a few things and also explain how we're going to get the word out. But we definitely appreciate the time through this spotlight to get the word out to the community.
Michael, take it away.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm getting a little feedback. All right. How's that? Can everybody hear me okay there?
That's good, Mike.
We're all
Yes,
right.
that's great, Mike. Very good.
Okay. So what I'm looking to do, guys, I'm going to share with you my screen here, which is the redesigned curriculum, the syllabus that, again, we are using and have, reached out to other driving schools in the area, New York State area, that have adopted the same protocols as given down by New York State. So if I'm sharing my screen here, I can't share the screen, I think, but I can talk about it. Again, as I'm looking here, guys, the syllabus, pretty straightforward. And the parents, by the way, we are going to put an email out to the students and the parents where you guys, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade parents and students will be getting an email from district once we all, go through the details with you here through the spotlight. We will be able to share this information and a pamphlet of sorts, a virtual pamphlet of what we have redesigned this program as. So, again, we're looking to complete 4 hours of lecture, around 16 lectures total at about an hour and a half each through Google Meets. Again, we're looking at a cost, as discussed, around $250, which is half of what we were charging for in-car and lecture as well. Attendance, obviously, we're saying is going to be mandatory. Okay, once we get going and class gets going and you sign this, permission slip, we are looking at, a tuition that will not be refunded because of the New York State attendance policy that they're putting. Mr. Kerr and myself are in the high school. Mr. Evers teaches in the middle school, but Mr. Kerr and myself will be taking the permission slips. Again, like Mr. Evers pointed out, we can open this up to double or triple the amount of students because it is virtual and giving us that opportunity. Again, they'll all be after school. It'll all be, in an hour and a half, maybe a couple days a week. So again, this is a great opportunity for our students. It's a great opportunity for them to get a quality instruction from not only from New York State program, but from their teachers themselves. And, it is a great defensive driving and driving school course. So it's going to be very comprehensive. And on a side note as well, parents out there that are going to be responsible to your students or to your children driving with them, we are providing a log sheet that is from New York State. Okay, and we are also providing instructions and a week-by-week outline of what you should be covering within the program itself. So we are even going above and beyond and more comprehensive. So we want to make sure you know what to follow in order to adhere to the state guidelines. Additionally, we're going to video ourselves doing the parallel parks and doing the 3-point turns and the other maneuvers that your children will be responsible for knowing. So we are going to be very hands-on as much as we can, just in a virtual sense, giving ourselves that accessibility and allowing your students to get, allowing your children to get that quality instruction in order to receive their MV-285 form. So that's it from my end. I don't know if Mr. Evers or Mr. Kerr, if you want to speak to anything else. I know we're uploading all this to Google Classroom as we speak. And, so that's something that, once we get going, kids will be able to access these in Google Classroom, and parents, once again, we will be sending this out in an email where you will get all of this information given to you. Okay, so this is something that is going to be accessible to you, hopefully in the very near future, where you'll be able to see all of this.
Kevin, why don't you take it away? And how many children, how many young adults will be joining in? Is there any limit at all, sir?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have an answer to that just now because the state hasn't provided those guidelines. But in the past, because we have always had the driving component attached to the lecture component, which makes the driver's ed program different from, say, a regular driving school like PASS, that school PAS that just recently closed down. All they offer are driving lessons. They do not have a lecture component, and therefore they are not in a position to provide the students with the MV-285 forms that Mike had stated earlier. Those forms, what makes it different from the driving schools is that once the students complete the program, they will be able to submit that form to their insurance company, which will give them a reduction on their insurance. But more importantly, and most interesting to the kids, is that on their 17th birthday, they will bypass an entire year of restriction and become a completely free, non-restricted licensed driver in New York State. If they do not take the course, they would be subjected to those restrictions, such as you can't drive past 9 o'clock. You were restricted to one occupant besides the driver. You cannot leave the state. And there are certain parkways and highways throughout the state that you would be restricted from driving also. So when that course is completed, it's literally saying gloves off and you can do what you want at any time. And that's one of the most exciting things about the course. And of course, it alleviates, but also creates a little stress with the parents because now they are driving after 9. They do have multiple occupants. And we all know that when those conditions develop, there can be circumstances that can be a little nervous for parents. And that's where the lecture component comes in. We educate the students thoroughly on all of the new things that they are facing as young drivers. You remember, I mean, everyone in this audience right here, we did not have the distractions that these students have today. Even when I started this program back in 2009, there were cell phones, but they were not evolving to the level that they are today. And we used to, interesting enough, I used to share with my students the number one cause of fatalities amongst young people was speeding and drunk driving. Because of the evolution of cell phones, it is now the number one primary cause of fatalities and accidents among young drivers. So we have evolved our lectures to overwhelmingly emphasize the importance of distracted driving. And we literally start and finish our program over and over again, re-emphasizing to the kids of how easy it is to get lost or distracted by trying to incorporate your phones while driving. And I can tell you in the years that I've been doing it, it's an amazing evolution of this program because we have had to evolve ourselves, incorporating this new distraction into the daily lives of these kids driving, operating cars.
Kevin, how do young people get involved in this program? How do they register for it?
Okay, so the other gentleman that spoke earlier, I commend them thoroughly because with Mike and Mike coming on board, when I first started this program, it was just a paper word of mouth program. Teachers like Tom Breidenbach and a former teacher, Joe Carassi, who was retired. It was just the 3 of us. Joe retired, and then it was just 2 of us. Now there's 6 of us. And with the coming on board of the young guys, I can't stress it enough, Mike and Mike, they are just so resourceful, not just in the classroom, but now with the driver's ed program, we could easily say that we are state of the art. So when these students show interest and inquire about the program, whether it's a student or the parents, we have so many resources that they can reach out to. But specifically within the district itself, on the web, we've created a website, and the students can go follow the website and access the resources. And every question they may have is simply answered by following the steps that have been provided by Mike and Mike.
You know, Anthony, what a wonderful program during some most difficult times in public education.
Yeah, it's and as I mentioned before, it's become a staple in the community, and I know a lot of parents ask about it. They're always asking about information with regards to it, and I think Mike, and you know, have really done a nice job in making people now be able to get to it, understand where it's at. It's not hidden, and I think this spotlight really will be able to get parents and students to better understand what the new protocol will be, but yet still offer the program and the benefits that you heard Mr. Kerr say that come from this program. So, you know, I wanted to thank all of them, Mr. Evers, Mr. Duma, and Mr. Kerr, for coming on to today's spotlight and disseminating this information, which, you know, part of what schools do is not just educate. We're here for the academic piece of it, but we're also here for, you know, the other pieces to what makes a student become ready for the world. And driving is one of those components, being ready for the world, right? So, you know, I think it's a great opportunity that we've been able to have this spotlight, you know, and be able to disseminate this information to both students as well as parents.
Well, we'd like to thank Anthony Nappi and Kevin Carrick, Ed Gillespie, Mike Dorma, Tom Breidenbach, and Mike Evers, our driver's education teachers here in Mahopac, for joining us for this edition of Spotlight on Mahopac Schools. For Superintendent of Schools, Anthony DiCarlo, I'm Eric Gross. Thanks so much for joining us. See you all next time. Remember, be safe and drive safely. Bye-bye now.
For more information, please visit our website, www.mahopac.k12.ny.us.